Hey guys, this is Daniel from Valor Comic Services, and welcome to the channel. Today I have the biggest CGC mail call of my life. It has some huge books, and they're really big for Valor. So we're about to jump into that. I've been waiting on this not long at all. Books inside are X-Men 1, Incredible Hulk 181, and ToS Suspense 39. The first appearances of X-Men, Wolverine, and Iron Man. These are all huge, expensive, must-have Marvel key issues. The bigger thing is I cleaned and pressed these books to try to get some grade bumps because I knew I could fix a few errors. So for instance, the 181 was a CGC 7.0. The ToS Suspense 39 was a purple label restored 1.0. A restored book normally only has a value of 40% of what a blue would. And a lot of people will look past a restored book because it's been altered or tampered with. I had to take the time and do what I could to remove the restoration. And the biggest one is X-Men 1 at a 1.8. So we're going to check these out. These are the old labels, that way we can compare. Submitted under the walkthrough tier. The walkthrough tier is CGC's most expensive way to send in a book. If you can avoid it, I would highly recommend it because the express tier will get things done just as easy and it'll save you a lot of money. For instance, I have spent $428 for these 3 books to get graded. All right. And this has white pages. So this book did not bump, but it also does not have any pressable defects either. So to answer the question that if this book was clean and pressed, would it bump? Which is no. There weren't any pressable defects. The biggest hit on this was this tape pull, and there's also a color breaking crease right through here close to Hulk's arm. The back of it, beautiful white. Even though this book did not present a grade bump, it presents leaps and bounds better because I can see a bunch of dents and bends that were there previously that are no longer there. Some of the dirt that was on the white lettering of the Hulk is no longer there. This book just looks so much better. I'm very happy. Next up. The most expensive comic book in my collection now. 2.0 X-Men #1 off-white to white pages. This had a ton of bends and several creases, and it was very dirty. However, I was able to go and clean this up and press out quite a lot of the bumps on it. It wasn't a gangster grade bump, but it's a grade bump that still gives value to the book. So here we have a 1.8 to a 2.0. Now I can also tell you that I paid $7,700 for the CGC 1.8. When I received it, I knew it could bump, so I rolled the dice and took the risk. Paid off because a 2.0 last sold in December for $9,000, so that gives me a $1,300 increase in value on this 2.0 X-Men 1. I never thought I was going to own one because when I first got into collecting, this book was still undervalued at that time. You could get a 3.0 for $1,400, and it was a book that I always was just going to, I'll come back and get it later. However, later never happened, and it just shot up to the moon. This was a book that, even as a kid, I knew I was going to get this book one day. Like, even before I was a comic book collector, even if I didn't have a huge interest in comics, I was like, I'm going to get an X-Men 1. So to have a 2.0 now in the PC is just a great feeling. Lastly, we have ToS Suspense 39. Left purple label, came back blue. Went down a grade to a 0.5. However, it's still complete. So the notes over here say cover and first wrap detached, tape on the cover and interior cover, which with the purple label still has the note about the tape, but the restoration was small amount of glue. It was not a small amount of glue. It was a crap load of glue. And fixing this book was an absolute nightmare, but I am so grateful that it came back a Blue Label 0.5. Alright guys, I'm going to check some numbers real quick, and we're going to see how we did after cleaning pressing versus what we paid for it. So after researching and seeing how far comps go, in December the X-Men 1 sold for, at a 2.0, sold for $9,000. So that gives me that increase in value of around $1,300. The Hulk 181, I'm always going to be ahead of the curve on. I paid $500 for my copy of the 7.0 almost 10 years ago when values were completely different. So I gained the knowledge that it's going to remain a 7.0 for eternity. Plus it looks way better in that case, so I'm not worried about that. That was just an experiment and very much while I'm at it. Now the ToS Suspense 39, again, a purple label is never going to sell as easy or as quickly as a blue label will. So with that blue label 0.5, there haven't been any recent sales with a 0.5 of that copy. However, a 1.5 in November sold for $5,400, and then factoring different things, that would put this 0.5 probably around $4,000, and I paid $3,400, so that's an increase in 6. So overall, the value on those 3 books increased almost $2,000, which the majority of that is just solely from the X. But the biggest thing is we took a purple label and turned it into a blue label. So that's great news for Valor. It just looks better to have a blue label instead of a purple label. If you have any questions about these comic books, or if you're looking to get any comic books cleaned or pressed, check me out at Valor Comic Services here on Facebook as well as Instagram. I respond to the messages frequently, so if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate, and I will gladly help you out best I can. Till next time guys, be safe.